Hello there, it's Ben with Studio on the Lake. Hey, here's a tale of two canaries. So this is the second one, and you won't get to see this one in this video. You'll have to wait for part two to see this character, and he is not antiqued. That's what's left, and then a little bit of detail, paint left on him. But this was an experiment that came about as a result of doing a silhouette. So next door, in my daughter's house on the lake, she lives up here right next to us. In the eaves of all of her eaves, probably 18, and then on the sides of the shutters, there's probably 18 canary like this that are just silhouettes cut out. They're done like country craft. They have no carving on them. They've just been cut out with a scroll saw or something along those lines. And we redid part of a addition that she has on the corner, and it was missing these, so we needed a few more of these. And I'm just messing around. So this is a pattern that was drawn directly off of one of the canaries that's on the house, and I thought it would be kind of fun to play around with. So I'm going to do two of them. Initially I was only going to do the one and do the cutouts to replace or to finish up the addition, which was a porch, a screened-in porch, and it needed to match the ones that are on there. So they're just stuck on there with a wire, and there's like a little branch that comes out, and they sit right up in the roof of the eaves, one on the left side, one on the right side. So where this comes in to be the tale of two canaries is I thought it might be kind of fun to do a full-size canary in the round off of this pattern and see what happens. So this is not an accurate pattern. It's someone's depiction of a bird, and since the house is yellow, we just called it the Canary House. Everything up here in Lake Country has to have a name. Like the studio had a name, obviously. The Stuga, which I'm in right now, had a name. The storage area we've got over is Long Branch, because it's about 4 areas that go through. The house next door is the Canary House. That's like down at the relatives a mile south of us here. They've got Bayside, they've got Woodside, they've got the barn, that sort of thing. So for some reason up in vacation land up here in northern Wisconsin, everybody has to name something. So this is just a straight piece of pine, a plain regular old pine, and it carves fine. I wouldn't carve it primarily use it as a carving wood, except maybe in a silhouette, or sometimes, as you saw, I will use it as a sign. So this I get from a guy up in northern Michigan who has a sawmill, and I can go get a pickup load of this stuff. I think it's 6.5 inches wide, an inch wide because it's not, or inch thick because it's not planed. And it's not typically dry, so it has to sit for a year or two stacked under something. But I can get a whole pickup load from a long bed pickup with these that are 8 foot long, 10 foot long, and random widths, probably $500. So it's worth it to do it, especially nowadays with the price of lumber. So here it is, cut out on the saw. Nothing too exciting about this here. I'm going to draw my center lines in. You like that snazzy pencil? I'm not sure what's on there. Snoopy's or stickers or something. So we had no reference, because this is in the state it's in right now, just cut round, is what's on the house, and there's 17 or 18 of them. So there'll be no point in redoing them. I just wanted to mess around with one. I'll probably end up cutting 6 or 8 of these out to finish up the addition, or actually it's not an addition, we just put a new roof on it. It had a flat roof, which is not very bright, and we matched the roof line of the rest of the house, and as a result it needs these in there, and then ones on the shutters on the side. So you've seen a little bit of this. I started off with hand tools just to prove it could be done, and I could still do it. And that's a Ramelson knife, available from Ramelson. You got to be careful on which one you get, because one's got a tang, one does not. These are the brownstone tools, if you follow the channel, that I've already showed you, and they're hand tools. They are the initial carving tools I found out that I started using. Good Lord, almost 40 years ago. My wife bought them from catalog sales, and they turned out to be pretty good. Well, I didn't know exactly what they were, because at the time I had taken the finish off the handles, because I found them to be a little bit slick. Well, I just found these a couple of months ago on eBay, and I bought them for the heck of it. And turns out that they are the exact ones, and they're actually a pretty high quality tool. So these I won't. They come in the standard blue box, which the brownstone tools came with, and they're actually collectible at this point. These were used a little bit. They had some sharpening on them. I did sharpen them back up, but now I'm going to leave the finish on these. I'll suffer through it on the handles, and as a result, the name will get to stay there. So I'm working with half a bird, basically. The tail is not correct. It's something that you would draw, and it was a little bit weird. It's got the V in there, and that necessarily wouldn't be there if you were trying to do a regular bird. So this is what you call, I guess, stylistic. I did put a center line on it just to leave part of the silhouette there. Right, so I'm just shaping it around. There's nothing exciting going on here. This is one that was done probably a month ago, and I never went back and did the editing. I'm trying to clean up the editing on a lot of these and get these videos posted, so I have a clean run. My computer is overloaded with video. So this is a Gouge. It's probably a number, if you wanted to buy an expensive one for 40 or 50 bucks from Feel or any of those guys, you would probably pay, like I said, $40 or $50 for it. And it'd be a number 8 with a pretty mild sweep on it. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you go look up wood carving chisels, they will explain the sweep, the shape, the numbers, the whole 9 yards. Now over in Oberammergau, a lot of the professional wood carvers, they'll have 10 of these with anywhere from a 1/4 inch all the way up to 2 inches and various different sweeps. A lot of sign carvers in days of old, when they used to carve signs by hand, they would have 100 chisels, and every single one would have a shape for a circle or a letter or something that did the sweep on there. I think nowadays almost all signs are carved by CNC, and they're carved on a composite wood, kind of like a foam board wood, which does two things. It takes a stain really well, and then two, it doesn't weather, and it doesn't check, and doesn't do all that. So the old days of, and they're perfect, absolutely perfect. Every little aspect of the sign is point on, spot on. Whereas if it's hand carved, there's the little nuances that come with hand carved. So I did a lot of work on this. It's fun to play with the hand chisels, but it takes a little bit more time. It's very relaxing to see those chips flying off there. And most of this was done 2 times the speed. But you see, not a very good piece of wood, and you can see that it's doing a pretty good job of carving, actually. So, moral of the story is, what wood do you carve? You carve the wood you have. Obviously, I prefer basswood. It's the classical carving wood. I've got into a position where I have a lot of it, and should take me on out through my retirement years. If not, I'll go out and watch Craigslist or Facebook for someone who says basswood tree down in the yard free, and then I'll hook the truck and trailer up, put the chainsaws in the back, and go get it and process it, put it out in one of the sheds, and give it 4 or 5 years to dry, and then it turn into something that may or may not be spectacular. So this guy is going to be relatively smooth. There's going to be no texturing on the feathers. And as you saw in the preview there, the tail of 2 canaries, the second one is going to get texturing. And in that one, I'm going to show you a little something with a stone as opposed to the burning. I'm going to burn around the head, and I'm going to burn a little bit into the wings, but primarily I'm going to use a stone. And then I'm going to challenge you to take a look at that, and since it's painted, and see if you can tell the difference between the stoning texture and the burning texture. And then in that video, which is coming up after this one, so like, comment, subscribe. By all means, subscriptions are free. Share with people you know. Send them a link if you think they might be interested in this sort of thing. I'm switching back and forth between the chisels and the knife. You can see that this is almost splitting off of there. Upcoming videos, the second part of this one, I've got the dragon going, which you, if you were a regular of the channel and you're following, that was put out yesterday. I won't get another one on the dragon done until probably next week sometime. I don't have enough material to put a video out. I've got one of a raccoon that started out as a bear, probably 10 inches tall, 15 inches tall. I did it in cedar, and the cedar is what I use for firewood starting in the winter. And it was sitting out there in the wood pile, and I was looking for a log to play with. It was raining, so it was obnoxious outside, and I did the initial shape with the Sawzall and the jaw horse inside the Stuga, and then I finished it up with chisels and whatnot, and it's just complete crap. If you ever played with cedar, cedar has a tendency to split on the growth lines, so it'll break off kind of like shale, and that's what this did. It was coming out pretty neat. I took it in the house, and my wife said, "Oh, cool, you made a raccoon." And I was thinking in the back of my head, no, I made a bear. But apparently the shape of the nose initially made her, and my daughter came over later and she said, "Oh, that's pretty cool, you made a raccoon." So the bear turned into a raccoon, and you'll get to see that video. And I'm probably going to fix him up a little bit. I tried to glue on a huge chunk that broke off, and it really didn't take, so I'm going to have to mix up some heavier duty glue and glue a whole bunch of pieces on it to get him to work, and then seal the heck out of it. It seems a waste to just give up on him because he's falling apart in pieces. But you'll see that video coming in there. I did start the Raven. I'm gonna wait a little bit before I put that together, so I've got more of the series on that. And I've got a bigger Raven that I was playing around with the head. So there's a bunch of stuff coming. Like, comment, and subscribe as always when you get to the end of this video, and stick around for the second one. So I switched over to the power carver, and this is a ruby bit, and I'm basically just sanding this guy. I wanted it to be smooth, and I did not paint it. It disappeared before I could paint it. So I might get that back and paint that yellow, so just so you can see it, and I'll put it in a cameo in one of the future videos. But it was kind of fun just seeing if you could go from granny pants bent over in the yard, plywood silhouette cutout, the plywood silhouette cutouts of the bears, the Yeti, although I kind of like those in the woods. I don't like the granny bent over with bloomers. They call that, I think they call that country art. But it's neat to go from just a cutout to a little bit of relief carving. Low relief is what this would be called. And not a whole lot of detail. Now this low relief is going to give you some different shadows. You could do the same thing from a distance with paint. So you could put a shadow line under this character without, or on the straight cutout, and it would read the same way. But this is kind of fun. I'm not going to waste a glass eye in this. Two reasons. One, they're $3 or $4 a piece, the little ones, and I end up only using one, so I'd have to use another one. So here's a thing that I'm pretty sure I put a video on these. I may not, but I think they're in the middle of something. These are eye bits, and they come in very small sizes. To I think I got a 1/2 inch or 3/4, and I'm not liking them yet. I'm not really digging them. They put a pretty deep groove in there, and then you end up with this round spear, which is perfectly round. And here's the smaller one I'm going to use. I thought this one was a little bit large, just to show you what it's like, and that's on a piece of that scrap. So here's the one I'm going to use on the bird, and I think I can do this just as quick or better with any of the other burrs, but we'll stick around with these for a little while and see if I can find a good use for them. I know they use the bigger ones in chainsaw carving, and that's originally why I bought these. It was a set. And if you're interested, ask down there, and I'll look up where I bought these from. There's a couple places that make them. So here we are, putting it on the bird, and that works. The problem with this is you got to get it centered and hold it, or it'll skip around, because it really doesn't have a reference tang like in a drill in the middle. So there's the end of part one, A Tale of Two Canaries. That's what that guy turned out like. He would be up under the eaves or mounted to the side of a shutter, and nothing wrong with it. And there's the exact same pattern on The Tale of Two Canaries, the second one, that I went and made him in the round. And it came out pretty interesting, although it is not antiqued, and I'll get that done. He's rather bright yellow on there, and it's definitely not it's a canary if you don't know anything about birds, but I don't think it's anatomically correct. Hey, thanks a lot. This is Ben with Stewed on the Lake. So like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again.